Hello there. Welcome to the channel. Today we are talking about something unrelated to WWE. Today we are talking about another topic that is near and dear to both of our hearts, Disney. We are giving you our top 20 favorite Disney movie. Now that could be Disney animation, it could be Pixar, it could be live action. So, like live action remakes, any movie that was made by Disney that just had regular people and actual people, you know. So, we're giving you our top 20, and this is the first video for Disney, and it is going to kind of be setting up another idea that we are coming up with called the Disney Gauntlet. Now, that is going to be comprised of 64 movies, 32 Disney animation feature films, and 32 Pixar animation feature films. Now, there are only 28 Pixar films as of 2025, with the last one being Inside Out 2. But we are giving Pixar kind of a couple wild cards, you can call them. 4 sequels that will be added to the 28 to make it 32 and 32. We will be putting the names of the movies separately in 2 different hats, and I will pick one and he will pick one, and we will put it in a bracket, and then we will go from this movie versus this movie. So, for example, Aladdin and Bug's Life. You know, which one's the better movie, you know, in our opinion. And they will have to meet a criteria. We'll come up with a list and a criteria, and hopefully over time it will be a bigger series than what I'm hoping for, and we can do a lot more of these. All I need you to do is like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment, tell me what your favorite Disney movie is. Let us know in the comments if you agree, disagree with any of our picks for our top 20s. Disclaimer, they are our top favorite, so it is subject to change, and there are the matters of opinions. So if you don't agree, good for you. But we're giving you our top 20 today. So let's start it out with number 20. Oh, no. We do honorable mentions. Our honorable mentions are, mine is Return to Oz.
Ditto.
We'll shake on that one. Yeah, it's so bad, but it's so funny bad.
Hilariously bad.
It's hilariously bad. Yes, that is the perfect way to describe it. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend watching it, because you're going to appreciate the stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go in there thinking it's going to be, just...
This classical masterpiece.
Yeah, it's not.
Like The Wizard of Oz used to be.
It's not.
No, absolutely not.
Alright, so number 20. I have Pretty Woman.
I have Tron.
Both of them are classics. I did see, like, a lot of people didn't realize that Pretty Woman was a Disney film.
Yeah, it was like one of those recently required
Yeah.
properties that technically makes it a Disney movie.
Yep. Number 19, I have Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
I have Angels in the Outfield.
Both of them, it makes sense. I didn't have Angels in the Outfield on my list because I kind of just... I've seen it too many times. And, as a kid, it was a great film. But as I got older, I was like, eh.
And that's the thing. I saw it recently as an adult, and I'm blown away by it.
Yeah. The first time you watch it, you're blown away by it. Watch it 15 more times, and you're going to be like, no. But Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is just such a classic. Rick Moranis, you can never go wrong with Rick Moranis. So that's why I chose that one. Number 18. What do you got?
I got Beauty and the Beast.
Classic. Movie came out the year I was born. I have The Muppet Christmas Carol. I just recently watched this in full, and yeah, I appreciate that one. That's a really good rendition of The Christmas Carol.
Absolutely.
And it's the Muppets. Like, you can't go wrong with the Muppets. Number 17. I have Disney Pixar, the first Pixar film on my list, Toy Story.
I have Holes.
Yeah.
That's a nostalgia trip for me, and that's why it's on my list.
Yeah. I'm a little surprised it's not higher up on your list. You know, it might show up on mine. It might not. Who knows? Toy Story for me, just a classic as a kid. And it's Pixar's very first film, and they put their foot on the ground and haven't looked back since. And they've been making really good movies. I mean, there's a lot of bad ones, but they have a lot of classic good ones too. Number 16, I have, and it's a little surprising because it should be higher up on my list, but thinking about it, I kind of had to put it this low. Homeward Bound. It is such a beautiful film. It is the actors, the plot. It's just an incredible journey for sure.
Yeah. I have Lady and the Tramp 2, Scamp's Adventure. It's one of those Disney sequels that I watched a lot as a kid and even sang a lot of the songs because, fortunately enough, they're bangers.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it like maybe once, and I just not really like. It didn't need a sequel. Lady and the Tramp didn't need a sequel. You know, the story ended perfectly, I think. Number 15, bringing it right back. Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco. Now, for me personally, this one is better. Just slightly better, but better than the first one. I liked the idea of bringing in different animals, you know, the street pets, the street animals, and, you know, the real struggle of being on the streets as an animal, as a wild animal, and having to deal with dog nappers and stuff like that. And,
right.
You know, the conflict that Chance was having of, oh, I like you, Lila, but I don't know. And for me, it was just a better story than just some animals got lost, and, you know, even though it was on their own accord,
Right.
you know. But still, great films. But for me, Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco, is slightly better than Homeward Bound, An Incredible Journey.
I have Aladdin and the King of Thieves, which honestly, it's a nostalgia pull, but also it's Robin Williams.
Yeah.
How can you not go wrong with Robin Williams?
Yeah, coming back after the second one not being in there, and just coming back into the third one and just kind of stepping right back into Genie and making Genie great again. And it was such a classic film. Number 14, I have The Aristocats. That's one of those old-time Disney movies that I just had a classic feel for, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, mine is Recess School's Out because I loved the show growing up.
Yep.
Saw that there was a movie. I watched it and I loved it.
Yeah. It was so weird for me because I used to grow up watching Saturday morning cartoons, Recess being part of it, and then the movies started coming out, and I'm like, why are the movies better than the show? You have no business being better than the show. But I digress. Number 13, this one's for the feels, Fox and the Hound. Yes, I do enjoy that movie, and yes, it makes me cry every single time. But it is such a beautiful story and such a great film.
I have National Treasure, and It's because I grew up with a dad who was a major history buff, and somehow my middle school was allowed to take field trips to the movie theater. I mean, makes sense for National Treasure, but still, you don't think field trip and think movie theater.
Yeah.
But yeah, watched it, loved it.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. I like the second one, but the first one is better.
Yeah.
I think the first one is better. It is one of Nicolas Cage's, in my opinion's, best films. And hot take, I will say that other than Face Off, I have Face Off and National Treasure as kind of my top two Nicolas Cage movies. But it was a really good film. Number 12, I have an extremely goofy movie. Not just a goofy movie, but an extremely goofy.
Yeah.
Like, we just watched it recently, and I just got reminded of how great and how awesome that movie was.
Yeah.
Just the animation, the acting, everything. The plot. Like, I loved extreme, like, X Games sports. Like, one of my favorite cartoon shows was Rocket Power because of the, X Sports or X Games sports feel to the show. And so, like, you bring that in a Disney movie, and I'm all for it. So,
yeah. My number 12 is The Lion King 1.5. It's one of those sequels that's not really a sequel, and I love it for that.
yeah. It's like the first sequel prequel that Disney really did.
It's like a midquel.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes kind of sense. But yeah, I loved it for what it was, and it's hilarious.
I mean, I would consider it a prequel because Timon's story starts before Simba was born, technically, because they were there when Simba was being presented by Rafiki. So I would consider it still a prequel because the movie did start taking place before the events of The Lion King.
Yeah, sure.
Number 11, I have just outside the top 10, another sports-related movie, Air Bud. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've watched this film, and every time I watch it, unlike, what was your other one that you just recently watched?
Angels in the Outfield?
Yeah. Unlike that one, I could watch that 10 times over and still love that film just as much.
Right.
The story in it. And if it's not wrote down as a rule, if you have a talented dog, you can go to your high school and enlist the help of your dog. As long as they don't have it as a rule wrote down that dogs cannot play basketball.
Watch a lot of high schools all around, like, the United States where, like, well, we need to write that down as a rule now.
If I need credit if schools start making that a law, like a rule. Like, if they put that down in their rules, I need credit for it. Just saying.
My number 11 is Alice in Wonderland, and it's a shocker to me that it's not on my top 10. Funny story about that is, as I finished writing my top 20, I remembered a movie, and I was like, oh, darn, that needs to be
In the top 10.
It needs to be at least in the top 20, so I was like, where does it rank? Where does it rank? Oh, gosh, it's way high, isn't it? Yep, it's way high. And I unfortunately had to get Alice in Wonderland off because I love Alice in Wonderland, whether it's the movies, the book, the video games, the mangas. I love everything Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
So, but still a great movie.
Oh yeah, it is such a classic movie. I'm honestly surprised it's not in his top 10.
And I'm talking about the animated version, not the Tim Burton version.
Yeah. All right, let's go top 10 now. We're here. We're halfway through. Stick with us, and we'll get there. My number 10. This one is again, one of those ones that kind of had gotten grandfathered in to being a Disney property. Armageddon. Such a beautiful film. The soundtrack, the cast, the plot, and every single time I watch that movie, at the end, when Bruce Willis is sacrificing himself for his daughter's soon-to-be husband, it just makes me cry every single time. It doesn't matter. Aerosmith being on the soundtrack just helps. Like, and now that I watch it again and again, it's like when they're in that scene where, Aerosmith song is playing, that part even makes me cry because I'm like, I know what's about to happen.
Right.
Like, oh.
My number 10 is Toy Story 3. I know how you feel about that movie.
Oh, I don't like it.
But I thought the way that Toy Story 3 should have ended was a perfect way to end a trilogy.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it at a drive-in with like 5 or 6 of my friends. Half of them were like, yeah, that was a really good ending. That was a nice send-off to the movie. Meanwhile, me and 2 other friends were hugging each other, crying, like, oh, it's the end of the trilogy, but it's so good. So, that's why it's number 10 on my list.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while. I'll give it another shot. But me personally, I just don't think they needed to make it a trilogy. They could have easily did a 1 and 2 and ended it there. But I digress. Number 9. What do you got?
His name is James. James and the Giant Peach, everyone. Such a lovely classic to go to.
Yeah.
With Randy Newman songs.
And that's the thing with Randy Newman. He either makes really good songs or really bad songs. Or he throws in the occasional, very accurate song of what is going on. Like,
the literal song.
We know his name is James. He should know his name is James. He shouldn't have to say his name is James when his name is in the aforementioned title of the film.
How'd you get that name? That's what my mother called me.
Yeah. Thanks, Captain. Thank you. I needed that information to get through the rest of my life, because if I hadn't have known that, I would not have died at peace. My heart and soul would have been questioning life until the very end if I did not know why his name was James.
Yeah.
Number 9 for me, it was higher up on his list, but for me, it's in my top 10 because it is such a great film. Holes. Like, I'm sorry, but when you have the book and then the movie comes out and the book is copy-paste of movie, yes, that's what we want. That's what we expected. That's what we wanted. Like, oh, they're making a Holes movie. Well, they have the source material. I wonder how bad it's going to be. It wasn't. It wasn't bad at all. You know why? Because the only thing they changed was Stanley Yelnats not being overweight when he got to camp, which I think, personally, is a great writing decision. Mm-hmm. Like, he didn't need to be fat going into camp.
Yeah, let's not torture this child.
Yeah. Like, he's already cursed. You want to add obesity to that? No. Come on. But still, other than that, page for page, chapter for chapter, accurate. And it was just great. I pretty much, the first time I watched it, I know I did, when Sam died, I cried. I was like, they didn't have to kill him. Run him out of town. Go ahead. Sure, I get it. But kill him? Oh, not Sam. And then Mary Lou? Oh, no. Just, no one was there to take care of Mary Lou. What happened? Number 8?
An extremely goofy movie. And
Yep.
to follow up with what you said, X Games.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, sure, we don't even need to say anymore.
let's take a goofy movie and make it extreme.
Yeah. Which, yeah.
It's like, all right, I'm invested.
Right.
Cool, I love it.
Number 7. Another Pixar film for me. A Bug's Life. It, again, one of those movies I watched as a kid and just instantly fell in love with. I loved the idea of Bug's Life. The comedy in it, you know, even as a kid, I got it. And watching it as an adult, I'm still right there. And I'm like, who ordered the poo-poo platter?
Yeah.
I love that joke.
Yeah.
Number 7?
The Lion King. The first one. I know how you feel about this movie, and I love this movie too. It's probably Disney's greatest movie that they ever made, but it's not my personal favorite. It's my 7th personal favorite. Cool.
We'll get into it later.
Yeah.
Number 6, what do you got?
Aladdin.
Aladdin. Another match. There we go. We got 2 on the same list. All right, Aladdin, just beautiful. Robin Williams.
It's Robin Williams, man.
Like, it
You cannot go wrong with Robin Williams.
just, knowing that he ad-libbed a lot of those lines in the movie is just fantastic because, like, you got to see his genuine humor be put on display for that film.
Yeah.
And the animation for the time, like, I'm going to backtrack and go back to Your Beauty and the Beast. The animation for 1991 and then Aladdin to come right after and hit it with, you could tell difference in animation because of, like, timeline of when those movies took place, which showed, like, a little bit more depth into Disney, because in Beauty and the Beast, it was more old school with, you know, in Paris, France, and, like, the old medieval times. It looked medieval times in the movie. And with Aladdin and Agrabah, it was more clean. It was more, you know, put together, like it looked like a timeline suiting film to it, in my opinion.
I can
Like,
get that.
you know what I mean? And Disney's ability to make you feel like you're actually in that timeline is what I'm meaning.
Right.
You know, I felt like when I watched Aladdin that I was actually in Agrabah at that time.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
number 5. We're in our top 5 now. I have Pirates of the Caribbean number 2, and I'm sorry, but Johnny Depp, man, I've got a jar of dirt. Like, I got a jar of dirt. Like, there's certain things that I watch in films that I'm like, haha, I appreciate that. Or there's moments in Pirates of the Caribbean 2 that I'm just like, haha, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, standing ovation. Just the ability to deliver that line over and over again, running around with a literal jar of dirt.
Yeah.
It is just beautiful to see in a grown man. Somebody who's been already well established as an actor. And to be able to just cut back and see the difference in acting between the first one and the second one, that he just really dove into the character of Jack Black.
Yeah.
Or Jack Black.
Yeah,
Jack
Jack Black.
Sparrow.
Yeah, Jack Black.
Shout out to Jack Black. Hey. What's your 5?
Mine is The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
It was, I believe, the first Tim Burton movie I ever watched, and I started loving everything ever since. And first introduction to claymation. The
Yep.
songs are banger after banger after banger.
Yep.
And honestly, like,
It's-
it has its own cult following.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. The popularity that came out from Nightmare Before Christmas was undeniable. Everybody loves Jack Skeleton. It everywhere you go, you have merchandise on merchandise. I've seen people with rooms filled of nothing but Nightmare Before Christmas themed rooms. The love and devotion for this film is rightfully earned. Mm-hmm. Rightfully earned.
Absolutely.
Number 4 for me is The Rookie, Dennis Quaid. Another sports movie, I know.
You seem to like sports.
Shocker. But beautiful film based on a true story. Yeah. The acting in it was really great. The emotion in it was really great. It's one of my favorite baseball movies of all time too. It's up there with The Rookie and The Sandlot. But it's up there.
Yeah. Mine is WALL-E, and it's taken me like 3 years ago to finally watch it for the first time, and after I watched it, I was like, how have I not seen this before?
Yeah.
This is so beautiful. This is so, like, beautifully storytelling, beautifully animated, beautiful everything.
Yeah, I watched it recently, too. Like, I think it was, like, a year after you had seen it that I was like, I'll watch it. I hadn't watched it either, and I was like, why haven't I watched this?
Yeah, exactly.
This is really good film.
It's like, how have we not seen this before?
Yeah. Number 3?
Oh, for me, Homeward Bound, the first one, The Incredible Journey,
Yep.
and going off, like, basically everything you said, but it was the one live-action movie that I would watch religiously as a kid and not get tired of, like Air Bud to You, and, like, it was just constantly all in my mind, and I would rewatch it, like, over and over and over, probably, like, 3 times a day, and no one really complained in the house.
No. It is such a good film. Number 3 for me, Tarzan. You have movie soundtracks for Disney, and then you have really good music soundtracks for Disney, and then you got God tier, and then you have S God tier. There's a few movies that fall into that category. Tarzan is one of them. Phil Collins, you genius. Mm-hmm. They literally came up to that man and said, hey, do you mind making some music? No pressure. Phil's like, yeah, I got you.
Wakes up, gets a cup of coffee. And
banger.
And just already presents them the CD, and they're just like, you didn't have to go this hard. You literally just woke up. What is going on here?
Yeah. The music makes the movie... I don't want to say the music makes the movie as good, because the movie in itself is good. They could have used a different soundtrack and it probably would have been just as good. But it makes it just that much better with the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And that's still like movie Tarzan was just like, yeah, we need this soundtrack. And they put the right soundtrack on it. So good for them, Disney. Good job.
Good job.
Number 2, I have Hercules. Greek mythology has always been a thing I've been interested in. I love the God of War games. I know Disney's Hercules is not accurate, like Zeus being a loving father. Plot twist. He wasn't. Like, he wasn't a good dad. He wasn't a good god. Like, but I did like the film. The music, I Can Go the Distance, slaps so hard. It really does. I love that song.
I don't know. 0 to hero, man. That'll get you.
I won't say I'm in love. Ooh. No. That one falls in the movie soundtrack for that one. Definitely isn't really S God tier for me. That one's more in the middle. You know, it still had really good songs, but it wasn't quite up to Tarzan's standard. What do you got for number 2?
Hunchback of Notre Dame. I'm a fan of storytelling.
Yeah, and that is beautiful storytelling. Accurate, based on a true story. It's loosely, but it's still a great story to go off of and make a Disney film from. But number 1, what do you got?
I have Oliver and Company.
Okay.
Billy Joel.
Good job.
Nothing else. Banger after banger.
Yeah.
With the music and the voice for Dodger.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, let's just make Oliver Twist, but with animals.
Yeah. It kind of goes into my number 1. Lion King. Hamlet. Animals. But it works. And if we're talking about God tier with music soundtrack and S God tier, then you have this one movie, in my opinion, where there's a level above that where it's almost iconic S God tier movie soundtrack. Because almost every song of The Lion King is always being played on repeat for most Disney fans.
Yeah.
You pick a Disney song, and I can guarantee you somebody has sang karaoke for it. I guarantee it. You know the words when that song gets played. You don't need lyrics for it.
You don't need to sing along.
You don't even need you don't need to sing along. They're so iconic and so good.
Yeah.
The film itself, the storyline, just has the most, in my opinion, again, the most iconic death in Disney history. The most heartbreaking, iconic death. And the look of, he knew it was coming when Mufasa died. He knew it was coming. And the betrayal, it is such a great film.
Yeah.
Every single song, every single moment. The movie itself is so quotable.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even need the subtitles on the bottom of the screen if you're watching the movie, because you know what's about to be said.
Yeah.
Like, for me, that makes that my most favorite. It's always been my most favorite. As a kid, I would watch that on a cassette player. Would play it over and put it in the rewind machine, put it back in the VCR, put it back in the rewind machine, put it back in the VCR. I ran through so many cassette tapes that my grandmother had to buy like 4 copies of The Lion King on VHS so I could be able to watch it, because I was at least watching Lion King twice a day, at least.
Yeah.
Every day as a kid. Like, it was the first movie that came out that I was able to actually start remembering what I was watching. And because I was 3 when that film came out.
Yeah.
And, like, I was able to retain it, and it just instantly stuck, and I loved it ever since. It's arguably one of my favorite movies in general of all time, not just Disney, just so we're aware. But there you have it. There's our top 20 Disney films for ourselves. Again, comment, leave one. Let us know what your favorite Disney film is. Again, once I get this whole editing thing down, we are going to be bringing you a Disney Gauntlet tournament to figure out, between the wars of Disney and Pixar, who made the better film out of all of them that we have on our lists. So, stay tuned, stay safe. We love you. Later.